Hello, you wonderful people. So for today's video, I'm going to talk about a trailer that dropped for Season 8, the final season of Arrow. If you haven't seen this trailer, I'll include a link to it in the description down below, but the title of the trailer is basically Sacrifice, because the whole point is, you know, Oliver's got to make a sacrifice in this upcoming crisis and everything, but for him, it's like he only will be able to do this sacrifice if he knows at the end that it's kind of all worth it. You know, that at the end of the day, his family and the people he cares about will be saved. And then we get a lot of cuts back and forth, because a big question I had going into this final season was like, how are they going to structure it? Because as we see stuff with Mia in the future and stuff like that, so it's going to be cutting back and forth. Like, I figured they do something kind of similar to Season 7, like obviously like the future stuff replacing the flashbacks. But is that necessarily the case? Well, I mean, maybe that's going to be the point. There's not going to be any substitutions. It's not going to be a thing of like, oh, we're in the future and we're going to flash back to the past, or we're going to be in the past and flash back to the future. I mean, flash forward to the future. Maybe it's going to be a thing of like, you go from one scene transition to the other, like, oh, here's some past stuff going there, boom, boom. It's not necessarily meant to be like, oh, this is what's going on. It's meant to maybe more so show you like, the stories are a lot more parallel than whereas it's like, oh, it seems like this is just a they were parallel. Obviously, like everything's always been parallel. I'm not explaining myself well, but I feel like it's going to have a different feel to it than like, obviously the flashbacks had for the first 5 seasons, and then like, you know, even like Season 7 with the future stuff. Like, I think this is going to have a different feel and vibe to it. Maybe potentially, I don't know, but I wonder, is it going to be very 50-50 with the episodes, or is it going to be a thing of like some episodes have more future stuff while other episodes have, because I think it's also something too, you got to think that like this is ending Arrow, but I think it's still setting up stuff for the future of the Arrowverse. So, you know, that's something to kind of be considered too, but because I think the present day Oliver's story, I think, is the most important thing. But this is also, you know, like they even had like a poster saying like, it's, you know, heroes die, legacy rises, legacies rise, and that's what this is all about. Oliver's legacy. So that's a big thing that they're going to be setting. It's so cool seeing everything. We see John Jr. in the little, you know, Deathstroke outfit, because obviously he's rolling with like a Deathstroke gang, because like Connor had brought that up last season. So kind of getting the flip side to that, because I guess like now that everything's kind of taken care of, where things are currently in the future, is up to them to protect, you know, the Glades, but more so just in general, just the city, kind of piecing everything back together to be the peacekeepers and, you know, to be the next generation of heroes. And I think that's going to be like the main thing you're dealing with, is going to be John Jr. That's going to be a lot of, you know, because that's family stuff, because it's like obviously that John is obviously Diggle's kid, you know, him and Lila's, but then it's also him facing off against the other kid that his dad brought in, Connor, along with like the child, well, both, you know, William and Mia, the children of his dad's best friends. So, you know, there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of family drama in many different regards there. So it's going to be interesting to kind of, I'll probably even find out what exactly led to him going down that route, potentially, you know, what led to such bad blood. Present day stuff shows us like Diggle and Oliver together at one point in time. We see Thea pop up, which I was like actually surprised by, but that's really neat, because obviously we know the last time we saw Thea, and that was a big thing brought up last season, like, well, what about Thea? That was something Roy wouldn't talk about, but the last time we saw them, Roy, Nyssa, and Thea went to go deal with all those other Lazarus pits, because we see that lady, and I'm blanking on her name, but she's a lady that's trying to take over the, kind of basically restart the League of Assassins. She's kind of trying to run things, but like they wouldn't let her. So it seems like we're getting Thea's side of things, of understanding like what she went through, what went down, you know, probably not the best thing, which is kind of interesting knowing that that's potentially, well, not potentially, definitely tied to Oliver, the end of Oliver's story, which is going to be sad when you actually think about it. If Thea dies, that would be like literally all of the Queen family would technically die. That would mean like of the Queen bloodline, William and Mia would be the last, which you can almost make the argument that'd be befitting like both these siblings, Thea, well that's whole complicated too, because let's not forget Thea is adopted, like Malcolm's her dad, but still, which to be fair, that applies in their case too, because it's like, oh, like they're half siblings as well, you know. So, but I mean, and that's something Oliver had talked about, like the fact his history is repeating to a certain extent. So it's like both of the Queen family, the Queen family kind of dies, potentially they both die. and then like maybe the torch passes to Mia and William to kind of keep on the Queen family name to a certain extent. I think that'd be kind of an interesting way to kind of go about that if they decided. I mean, we know Oliver is kind of set in stone that he's going to die. We don't know about Thea, but the fact is Roy doesn't want to talk about it. Kind of makes you think like things didn't go too well. Like they probably took down a lot of the Lazarus pits, but still. Because the thing is, we know that Nyssa is the one who trained Mia. So I'm thinking like after it's all said and done, like Oliver runs into Nyssa. It's like, I need you to go train my daughter. Like things are getting chaotic in the world. I want her to be able to be safe and protected. And that's why, because I thought it was so interesting because they just show like, oh, Nyssa training her. And it's like, we're never getting any context to that. I think now we're going to get context to that situation. We see at one point Oliver's kicking it with Talia, and so I'm curious like what that, I'm sure that's all going to be brought together because like the whole legacy of, you know, Nyssa and Talia, which is like, man, that's a lot of sibling situations that are going on at one point in time when you actually think about it. Like, and I think that might be a big part of this particular season. But what I also love too is like we're not necessarily seeing like what's going down like connected to like the crisis, because my understanding from what was kind of explained to me, basically 1, 2, and 3 are going to air in one, like parts 1, 2, and 3 of the crisis air in like 1 week, and then like not 1 week, but when they air it's all going to happen in the same week, and then like a month or two later then you get parts 4 and 5, and when the crisis event is over completely, there will be only 2 episodes of Arrow left. That's my understanding of the whole situation, which is kind of crazy to think about. So I think that's why they're pushing the main focus is obviously Arrow. The crisis stuff comes later. This is about Arrow's ending. But I am curious, like, does he actually go back to Star City at one point in time? Because like I said, he's with Diggle at one point in time, but we also see he's there with Laurel. So, because obviously you got to probably close stories off with Dinah and Renee as well. We did that future arc wise, but present day wise, probably gonna have to kind of say your goodbyes in that certain regards, or at least Oliver does, you know, having to go off into this. Because I mean, let's not also forget Diggle's not around in the future. So once again, it's that whole thing of like, is everything set in stone? Are we gonna like, can things potentially change? But then there's a whole thing of Oliver saying like history has a tendency to repeat, well, it's repeating itself. But we see at one point he sees Tommy. Is that supposed to be Tommy from a different Earth? Is that supposed to be a ghost? Is he kind of stuck like not necessarily time traveling, but is he being caught in these like time loop moments? Because even at one point his mom, you hear his mom's voice, Oliver, and he's like, hi mom. So it's like I said, that's why I was wondering, like, is he going to different Earths? Because at one point there's Adrian Chase in a different trailer, so that's why I'm like, he must end up on a different Earth, because obviously this whole crisis thing. So that might be them hinting to crisis stuff, but more specifically Arrow related crisis stuff. I don't know. Like, I'm so excited to see where this season takes us, because I have no idea. Like, we get so many little pieces and you can kind of potentially put the big picture together. Maybe I'm just too much of an idiot to put it together, but I'm so excited to see how this whole final season ends up playing out, how it plays into the crisis, as well as just in general how it ends and what effects this might have lasting for the Arrowverse in general, you know? So these are my thoughts in the comments down below. I'd love to know your thoughts about everything. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, love life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and good